Joining me now on the show is the Vice President of the National Border Patrol Council, Art Del Cueto. Art, welcome back to the program. Thank you for taking the time, and I know you are a very busy man right now.
Thank you for having me. You know, it's a big deal. But yeah, I've been swamped. It's just been one thing after another. And then what's funny is that people come out of the woodwork when they see you, that, you know, you did a lot of things for the campaign and you helped out, you know, the future of America. All of a sudden, you got a bunch of people that are coming out of the woodwork saying, hey, can you get me a hookup? Can you get me this? Can you get me in contact with this person? So I think that's what takes up a lot of my time lately.
Well, I got to tell you, you've also been talked about in the news, possibly to have some sort of an appointment or be involved in the Trump administration. So I don't know how that's going or if you even want that, but I want to get to the issues of the day right now. Obviously, Donald Trump is going to be the next president. The American people have voiced their concern about the border at the ballot box. However, Mexico's new president, strong words for Donald Trump. She said 70% of the illegal weapons seized from criminals in Mexico come from your country. Weapons, we do not consume synthetic drugs. So what do you say to her? She's saying the weapons are coming from the United States. We don't consume the drugs. And she says, Donald, this is your problem.
Well, apparently, if there's so many weapons in her country, in a country that doesn't allow weapons, it's her problem as well. And I think she needs to start looking at what her immigration officials or what her law enforcement is doing along the southern border or her northern border, I would say, with allowing weapons to enter her country. So, I mean, it's easy to point the finger, but at the same time, what is her government doing when it comes to these issues as well?
But, you know, in Art, I've watched your career and I know you're amazing on the border, but you also have a little bit of a political mind here. And I just want to talk for a moment about this new Mexican president, because it seems like Donald Trump and the new president of Mexico are on a crash course to have some real battles here. Now, I understand America First policy. I also understand Mexico First. She's the president of Mexico and she needs to fight for her own people in her own country. Do you think that this woman and Donald Trump are going to have issues down the road?
No, look, I think at the end of the day, there may be some issues that they're going to get more exploded up within the media. But look, Mexico knows that in order for them to be prosperous, they're going to have to play ball with the United States. They're going to have to, you know, adhere to what President Trump wants. And it's not necessarily what President Trump wants. It's what the American people want and what they need. And working together, it's going to be better for them because, look, she can say, I'm Mexico first. That's fine. Well, what are you doing for Mexico? And you sure don't want your Mexico to be, you know, nothing but a cartel state, which is what it's been the last 4 years. So at the end, I think even her own people in Mexico are going to say, hey, you know what? We need some of this chaos taken care of. You got major cities on northern states in Mexico that have been sequestered by cartels, where the people living there, they can't go out after dark because the cartels themselves, they said, hey, no one goes out after dark. I mean, that's the reality that the Mexican people are living, and they're not happy about it either. So I think at the end, they're going to put a little pressure on their own leadership and their own president and say, hey, we want to be safe as well. So I think moving forward, they're going to know what's right. It's obvious. I mean, she's not a dumb person, right? I mean, she's intelligent and she knows what's going on. And I think once President Trump, brings up some of these tariffs and some of these explanations of what needs to be done, they're going to be willing to play ball. And look, just real quick, getting back to your question on a position, this is going to sound as corny as it can ever sound. But in lieu of my phone blowing up with people saying, hey, can you get me in contact with somebody? I'm looking for this position. I'm looking for that position. There's so many people that are now all of a sudden wanting to have a position within this administration. I honestly did it because I care about the future of this country. That is why I was involved. That's why I wanted to help. I wasn't out there looking for any spot, any position. I'm out there because I saw how bad the border was. I saw how bad the country was going. And I know that President Trump was the individual that was going to put it in the right track. That's why I did it. But it is crazy when you start seeing what I like to call the chicken hawks. You know, they left and they were chicken and they wouldn't put their neck out on the line for President Trump. And now that he won, now they talk like hawks on media and saying, oh, I was behind him the whole time. I think that's frustrating. But once again, I did it strictly, and as corny as it sounds, because I care about my country and I wanted a good future for it.
Patriotism is never corny, and I think that's a beautiful thing, Art. So, Art, last time you were on the program, I talked about the cartels, and I asked you a very specific question, and I got a lot of blowback for it, and people said, Billy, shut up, you're talking crazy. And I said, if Donald Trump is elected, do you think there's any way he enacts the U.S. military or special forces to proactively go after the cartels in Mexico? Proactively cross the border and go after the cartels. People said I was crazy. Rolling Stone magazine today, in Trump's government in waiting, the only question is how massive the U.S. assault on Mexican drug cartels should be. Trump officials are already stating they might take action here. What's your take on it?
Look, I mean, I think at some point you're going to have some help from the Mexican government, and they're going to have to admit that it's a failed state right now when it comes to the cartels. Again, when you have a major city completely sequestered by cartel, you've lost control. And, obviously, the United States is willing to help because it's going to help us as well. I think you may have some type of, teamwork in the future or God knows what's going to happen because, I mean, it is a failed state at this point with the cartels. They've been, emboldened under the last 4 years. God knows that their pocketbooks are huge, and they've been taking money in the billions under the current administration. So I think you're going to see some type of teamwork, some help from the U.S. in order to stop some of these issues that they're having in Mexico. And at the same time, I've always said it needs to start also with some of these southbound operations. You got to do southbound operations because if drugs are coming north, money and obviously weapons, as the president of Mexico said, is going south. You need to start finding out how they're getting south. And I'll tell you what, I have a suggestion right off the bat. All these money transfers, when we start talking about tariffs against other countries, how about you start boosting up some of these tariffs or taking some money in on these money transfers? Because, look, people can easily go and I think the threshold is $10,000. So you can send as much as under $10,000 south without having any issues, but you can do that today, tomorrow, and continue to do it every day. There needs to be some type of, system where we're monitoring how much money is being transferred into another country as well.
That is one I have not heard yet, Art. That's a new one. I never thought of that. And with the talk of 25% tariffs and back and forth, money transfer is very interesting. Okay, but I got to push back just 1 second. You call it teamwork, but let's be very clear about what I'm asking. I am talking about United States military in some capacity crossing the border, crossing your border that you know better than anybody in this country, going into Mexico proactively and weeding out these cartels. You know, and I know, this is going to cause a storm, a real issue in the United States as well as Mexico. If that in fact happens, are you prepared at the border to deal with any issues that might arise?
I mean, I think you're never fully prepared for what violence may come from it. We just hope for the best. And at the end, patriotism is a big deal, and we have to see what's better for our country, what's better for the future of this country. And we'll see. Do I believe they'll send individuals down there? Look, if that is what is at question, I can tell you, I don't believe these cartel members are even close to prepared if you start seeing some of these, tier one operators that could go down there and stop their business and stop their flow. My suggestion right off the bat, if you have any cartel members that are listening, is start opening up some legit business and retire from being a smuggler, because you're not going to be able to survive if we have America's best down there trying to stop you from continuing the flow of drugs into the U.S.
Artel Cueto, finally, this gentleman, Mr. Homan, Tom Homan, he's been on the program before. I've had the opportunity to interview him. He's a very serious individual, as you know, Art, very serious guy. The mayor of Tucson, the mayor of Phoenix have spoken out. Governor Hobbs has spoken out against mass deportations. First of all, who has authority here? I mean, if we start seeing the federal government go after criminals in the state of Arizona and deporting them, can our governor, can the Phoenix mayor, can the Tucson mayor do anything to stop that?
Well, look, I think the only thing that the mayors can do, and I think that's what they will do at the end, is they'll turn around and they'll tell their police chiefs or the different police entities, hey, when you pull over somebody and there's anything questionable about their immigration status, you don't have the immigration authority to detain them and get ICE or Border Patrol involved. That's as far as they're going to be able to go, is directives within their own agency and their own department. So as far as stopping him and saying you can't come into my state, I mean, that's just, again, jumping on a soapbox and trying to sound like you're tough, because realistically, they're not going to be able to do anything like that. But can they stop it? They can impede it. And the way they would is by getting a hold of their chiefs and their police chiefs and sheriffs and telling them, hey, there's not a problem here. Please do not contact local immigration if you think somebody has a questionable immigration check.
And here's my hope, and we'll finish up with this, Art. My hope is that the American people, Democrats, independents, and Republicans, can come together on this one issue we're speaking about, and that is securing our border. I know many liberals, many Democrats that eventually admitted, like, hey, listen, I'm voting for Kamala Harris, but we got to do something about the damn border down there. It is an absolute mess. So my hope and my message today is, whether you're a Trump supporter, a Biden and Kamala supporter, whoever you might be, if you're an American citizen and you love this country, get behind people like Cartel Cueto and allow the president and people like Art to do their damn job. If we can all agree it's a problem, then stop putting up all these hurdles.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think the message has to resonate for all of us. Look, we've all had to make sacrifices. And I think we need to continue to make those types of sacrifices to a point to help the country and help the future. And that includes other local law enforcement agencies. Look, it blows my mind when I start hearing, local sheriff's departments that have said for the longest time that they're in favor of detaining these people. They know that there's a problem, but then they turn around and they put a price on the utilization of their own detention facilities. I'm hearing some of these sheriffs are asking for $300 a night per individual that gets detained from the federal government. So then when you start looking at things like that, I mean, come on, guys. If we're all on the same team and we want to get something done, then let's work together and let's not try to figure out how one entity is going to get richer than the other. We need to put our money where our mouth is at this point.
Team America. Cartel Cueto, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being a friend on the show. Thank you for being a guest. And eventually, I know you're a very popular man right now. I know your phone is blowing up. But eventually, when the dust settles, I do want to come down to the border and check things out and get some information right from the horse's mouth. Thank you very much, Art.
Excellent. Thank you so much. You're a true friend, a true patriot, and the door's always open for you to come down here. I'll show you myself.
My name is Billy Harfosh. That was Cartel Cueto. He's the Vice President, National Border Patrol Council, broadcasting from Star Worldwide Studios in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. We'll be back with more explosive interviews.